The WNBA is getting more and more controversial. Just imagine. On one side, we have Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation breaking records and taking the Indiana Fever to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. On the other, Sheryl Swoopes, a living WNBA legend, three-time MVP and icon of the sport. What could go wrong, right? Well, it seems Swoopes isn't too impressed with Clark. In a recent appearance on Gil's Arena podcast, Swoopes dropped a bombshell. According to her, Caitlin Clark, even with her impressive numbers, isn't dominating the league. It's like she threw a bucket of cold water on all of Clark's fans. But is Swoopes right? Or are we witnessing the birth of a new era in the WNBA, one that Swoopes might be having trouble recognizing? Subscribe to the channel now, because that's what we're going to unravel today, diving deep into this controversy that's dividing opinions and making everyone question what it really means to dominate in the modern WNBA. Let's start by looking at Caitlin Clark's numbers, because folks, they are simply out of this world. In her rookie season, Clark is leaving everyone jaw-dropped with averages of 19.5 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game. But wait, there's more. She's not only leading the league in assists, but she also broke the WNBA single-season assist record with an impressive 329 so far. Clark became the first rookie in WNBA history to record not one, but two triple-doubles. Plus, she has the most double-doubles by a point guard in a single season. Speaking of efficiency, Clark is shooting 41.7% from the field, 34.1% from three-point range, and 90.4% from the free throw line. That's precision that many league veterans would envy. But the most impressive thing is the impact Clark is having on the Indiana Fever. The team, which started the season with a sad 1-6 record, turned things around and secured a playoff spot. Clark isn't just playing well, she's elevating the entire team's level. Alongside Kelsey Mitchell, she forms one of the league's most lethal guard duos. The Fever is the only WNBA team with two players among the top 8 scorers. Now, let's take a look at Sheryl Swoopes' career to better understand this controversy. Swoopes won the league MVP award 3 times, in 2000, 2002, and 2005. In those MVP years, her averages were impressive, ranging from 18.5 to 20.7 points per game. Throughout her career, Swoopes averaged 15 points, 4.9 rebounds, 3.2 assists in 324 games. But here's the crucial point. These are Swoopes' career-long numbers. Clark is posting similar or better numbers in her first season. Of course, it's important to remember that the game has evolved since Swoopes' time. Today's WNBA is different from the WNBA back then. But does that make what Clark is doing less impressive? Now, let's dive into the heart of the matter. What does it really mean to dominate in the WNBA? When Swoopes says Clark isn't dominating the league, she seems to be using a very specific standard. In her own words on Gil's Arena podcast, Swoopes said, "The only player I would say is dominating the WNBA right now is A'ja Wilson." It's true, A'ja Wilson is having a phenomenal season. She set the single-season scoring record and is dominating the rebounding charts. But does that mean there can only be one dominant player at a time? Let's think about what dominance might mean in basketball. Impressive individual numbers. Check for Clark. Significant impact on team wins. Another check for Clark. Breaking records. Clark is doing that too, changing the opponent's game. Teams are certainly adjusting their strategies to deal with Clark. So, what's missing? I honestly don't know what Caitlin needs to do to change Swoopes' mind. But now, let's talk about something that's impossible to ignore. The monumental impact Caitlin Clark has had on the Indiana Fever. Because, folks, it's no exaggeration to say that she completely transformed this team. Remember how the Fever started the season? It was a painful start, with a 1-6 record. Many people were already writing off the team, thinking it would be another year of disappointments. But then, something magical happened. Clark didn't just adapt to the WNBA game, she elevated the entire team's level. The Fever turned the game around, literally. They finished the regular season with a winning record, their first campaign with over 50% wins since 2016. And most importantly, they secured a playoff spot, something that hadn't happened in 7 long years. Moreover, Clark showed impressive maturity on the court. She doesn't just score, but creates opportunities for her teammates. Her chemistry with Aaliyah Boston and Nalissa Smith is evident, and it's making the Fever look like a completely new team. And here's the icing on the cake. Clark is doing all this as a rookie. Imagine this team's potential in the coming years, as she gains more experience and the team grows around her. Now, let's take a look at how the rest of the WNBA community is reacting to this controversy between Swoops and Clark. Because, believe it, this debate is far from being just between these two. First, it's important to note that Swoops' statements didn't sit well with many fans and analysts. On social media, we saw a flood of comments defending Clark and questioning Swoops' position. Many argue that Swoops seems to be driven more by a resistance to change than by an objective analysis of Clark's game. Interestingly, other WNBA legends have been more open to praising Clark. For example, Rebecca Lobo, former player and current ESPN analyst, has been a big advocate for Clark. Remember that Lobo tweet in February? She predicted that if Clark went to the Fever, she would put up MVP numbers as a rookie. Looks like Lobo was right, isn't it? Additionally, current league players have also expressed admiration for Clark. Aja Wilson, the same one Swoops considers the only dominant player currently, has praised Clark on several occasions, recognizing the impact the rookie is having on the league. But it's not all praise. Some league veterans, while acknowledging Clark's talent, argue that she still needs to prove her consistency over time. It's a valid argument. After all, one season doesn't make a career. What's fascinating about this situation is how it's generating a broader debate about the evolution of the WNBA. We're seeing a divide between those who embrace the new style of play represented by Clark, with her long-range shots and spectacular passes, and those who value the more traditional game more. And we can't ignore the elephant in the room, the issue of media attention. Some argue that Clark is receiving more attention than her accomplishments deserve, while others say she's bringing much-needed exposure to the league. Now that we've analyzed the present, let's look to the future. What can we expect from Caitlin Clark in the coming years? Will she continue to dominate or not dominate, depending on who you ask? First, let's consider the fact that Clark is just at the beginning of her WNBA career. If she's doing all this as a rookie, imagine her potential in 2, 3, 5 years. It's exciting to think about what she can achieve with more experience and physical development. Many analysts predict that Clark will not only maintain her current level, but continue to improve. Her game is already multifaceted. She can score and distribute at a high level. As she adapts even more to the pace and play of the WNBA, we're likely to see improvements in areas like shooting efficiency and defense. From the Indiana Fever's perspective, Clark is clearly the centerpiece around which they're building the franchise's future. With her at the helm, the Fever has the potential to become a title contender in the coming years, especially if they can retain and develop talents like Aaliyah Boston and Lexi Hull. Swoops, with her criticisms, seems to be defending a more traditional view of the game, one that values consistency over time and impact on both sides of the court. Clark, on the other hand, embodies a new approach to the game, one that prioritizes long-range shooting, creating spectacular plays, and a style of play more suited to the era of social media and viral highlights. But here's the question that's on everyone's mind. Does Clark's success diminish Swoops' legacy in any way, or do Swoops' achievements make Clark's accomplishments less impressive? The truth is, we don't need to choose sides. Swoops' legacy is unassailable. She paved the way for players like Clark to shine today. And Clark's success doesn't diminish Swoops' achievements. On the contrary, it shows how the game Swoops helped establish continues to evolve and grow. However, this tension forces us to confront bigger questions about the sport. How do we balance respect for the past with enthusiasm for the future? How do we define greatness in a sport that is constantly evolving? And perhaps the most important question, what does this controversy say about the current state of the WNBA? Are we witnessing a pivotal moment in the league's history, where the torch is being passed from one generation to another? One thing is certain, whether you're Team Swoops or Team Clark, there's no doubt that both players have had and are having a transformative impact on women's basketball. And in the end, isn't that what sports are all about? We want to know your opinion. Do you think Swoops is right in saying that Clark isn't dominating the league? Or are you on Clark's side, believing she's redefining what it means to dominate in the modern WNBA? Leave your comments below. Share your opinions, tell your stories, debate respectfully. After all, it's this kind of passionate discussion that makes sports so exciting. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the WNBA, don't forget to give that like on the video. It helps the channel grow a lot and allows us to continue bringing quality content about women's basketball to you. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button right now. That way, you won't miss any videos about the biggest stars and most exciting stories in the WNBA. See you in the next video.